Hello and welcome, friends, and happy summer. Are you looking for a simple way to keep your child learning and making the most of each summer day? Hi, I'm Andrea Miller, and I help early childhood teachers and parents teach through imagination and play so that every day is an adventure in learning. This summer, I'm doing a series right here on this new channel, Everyday Inspired Play, where I'll be sharing simple and low prep activities for you to do at home with your child so that we can avoid that summer slide. So if you are a parent or a teacher that have children going into preschool this year or into kindergarten or even into first grade, this is a place for you. So let's start counting the summer days with our summer counting jar. This is a super simple activity that can be done at any time of the year, but summer is always a great fun time to do it because you have a little bit more time, it's a little bit more flexible at home, and you can do a number of things once this jar starts filling up. Why are we doing it? It's easy. It builds on our math skill, our early numeracy skills. It builds on routines and so much more to build our confidence for our little children entering those early childhood classrooms. We're going to grab our jars. I happen to have a glass jar right here that I just found out while I was cleaning through my closet full of every teacher supply that I've had for the last 2 years. So I found this jar that I thought would be perfect for this. But really, you want to find things that are in your house, around your house, not running to the store, not running out to Walmart in the last minute and things, just collecting stuff that you can use around the house. For instance, you can use pasta or beans that work for you. Or you can use, I love pom-pom balls. You can use rocks that you go on a nature walk and each day you pick up a rock and you bring it home to put in your counting jar. Or you can use other simple things like small blocks, things that you have in the house. But hint, you probably need to pick up those things ahead of time, unless they're picking up rocks or something, but have your collection so that you know that you're going to have enough to get through the summer days or however long you count it. You do not have to count every day of the summer, and it doesn't matter when you start this activity. You could start it tomorrow. Today you can get all your materials and you could start counting tomorrow. It's not going to make a difference for your little one if they count the exact number of days of summer or if they just remember counting the summer days with mom. Just focusing on the skill of counting one-to-one and building those numeracy skills. So no matter when you start, it's a perfect time. So now that we talked about manipulatives a little bit and what you can put in the jar, let's talk about the jar. Probably more important, right? So we have some place to put them. Recycle time. Make sure you go check your recycling and all those little jars and things. If you're a teacher, you know that you save every little jar or everything thinking, can I use this for a project? Can I use this for an activity? Okay, so now that we have our materials, let's talk about differentiation. I'm going to give you some activities and ideas for how to differentiate if you have multiple children or what age your children are. And yes, it is a little bit based on age and grade level and things, but it really is based on what you feel your child can do and where you need to meet their needs. So all of these activities are good. They're good for review. They're good for skill building. So no matter with them, if you're starting at the easiest level or you're giving them something challenging, you'll know when they're frustrated, it's just too much. Or if they're zipping through it, maybe you give them a little bit of challenge and things. But in general, these are just activities that can build on really numeracy skills and counting concepts here. So I'm going to share ways that you can do if you're have a 3-year-old or somebody that's going into preschool. It's going to be very different than a child that is going into kindergarten or into first grade. So I'm just going to give you a range of those things and then you pick and choose what works best for you. And always, if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask and I can help you out with that as well. Okay, so if you have a 3-year-old that might be in preschool already or a 4-year-old that's going into preschool, this is kind of where you want to start on their age and their abilities and things. So I would suggest a manipulative that is maybe a little bit bigger for them so that they have the dexterity to pick that up. Also for choking hazards and all that good stuff, sticking it in your nose and things like that. So always be careful of manipulatives that you're using and finding around the house. I personally love pom-pom balls. They're one of the best investments I could make for my classroom and for my own kids. I use them in so many different ways. You'll see them a lot, but I love them for counting as well because one, they're kind of soft and they feel good, so it's a great sensory experience. They're also pretty inexpensive, so you may not have these around the house, but maybe you want to invest in them in one day. These are a great size, plus these are shiny and fun just for summer and things like that, but something that you can find, of course, like I said, remember, find your manipulatives and make sure that you have enough to count for extended time. Like if you're going to count for the rest of the summer, or if you're going to count for the next month, or whatever you're going to count each day. You have that so you're not running out at the last minute. Balls, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can have them counting each day. And then what you always want them to do is pour them out and count them maybe on the table, and then maybe count them in the jar, so they're counting at least more than once. Now, if they're very little, one-to-one is going to be hard for them, so be prepared for that. You may have to do more of the modeling, like saying the numbers, because they don't know it, and that is perfectly okay. That's how they're going to learn and absorb. One thing I like to do when I'm doing a counting jar or any counting activity similar to this in the classroom with my littles is once they are adding them to the jar, as they're adding them, I like to model and for them to listen, as well as they can count. I could clap as I'm counting, so I could say 1, 2, 3. That's just giving them an extra sensory experience so that they can hear the clapping and associate with one-to-one. So very simple and easy way to do that as well. Okay, let's talk about little older kids that maybe they're still in preschool or they're in kindergarten and you're doing some review activities. Excuse me. You can do same thing, just a little bit more activities, a little bit more depth. You can ask questions before you get started, or as you're working through, like, what did you have yesterday? How many more did you have? Things like that, because they should be able to do a little bit more one-to-one and starting understanding more one, more less, things of that sort. So here I have rocks, and I have my jar is a coconut oil from Costco. What I love here, of course, again, has the twisty top, so that makes it really good for them. I also put rocks in here, so if you're like, bringing your nature and walking around outside each day, you can bring a rock. Or if you're on vacation, you can pick up some rocks while you're on the beach or you're on a camping trip, things like that. So that is what makes the counting jar fun. And no, you don't have to take the counting jar with you, but you could take, while you're there, you could pick up rocks each day and then get home and add them to your counting jar. So that would work for any activity that you are doing over the summer. One thing I love about rocks is you can also put in some nature and talk about the descriptions: smooth, rough, heavy, those things. But also I love there's a sound that goes with counting as well, so they can be listening to it. 1, 2, 3. So you can be, that could be another way so they can hear that sound while they're counting one-to-one. So as well as our pre-K students that are already in pre-K, already are getting ready for kindergarten, or definitely our kindergartens to first graders, they should be starting to write numbers and stuff. So you can grab some Post-it notes. You can use a chalkboard or an easel or something, or just a notepad that's right next to your counting jar for the summer. And you can go ahead and also, like, put on the Post-it notes, you can write the number. If they're younger, you can definitely write the number for them. Actually, you should write the number for them so they can be seeing it correctly. So you're modeling that again for them. So we have 9th day of summer, and we've been counting, so we have 9 altogether. So that's a good way to model. If you have older children, they should be writing their numbers as well. And if they don't remember their numbers, that's okay. That's why you're doing this now, so you can be doing some review with them. If you want to do that, you can always write the number. It's best to write it in like a highlighter or a gray crayon or a gray marker, and then they can write over it. But if you're doing writing with them, please make sure that you're teaching them how to write the numbers correctly. All numbers and letters start at the top and go top to bottom, so they don't start at the bottom. Even if you do it and from the bottom once in a while, there's a lot of research backed by that to help reading and all kinds of stuff. So take it from me, as a writing person, I'm adamant about teaching correctly, not reteaching. If you're doing that, that's a great idea. I also thought this would be really fun, is I I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to try a dry erase marker on here, because wouldn't that be fun if they could write it every day? Or you can actually write it and they can write over it and things with a dry erase marker or something. That would be kind of fun to do too. So counting jar that's perfect for you and your family. Okay, so let's move on up to our kids that are a little bit older. Maybe they are older preschoolers, or they've been in preschool before. They are going into kindergarten and they're really sharp and bright. They've got a lot of exposure, or they're kindergartners going into first grade. So if you have a kindergarten going into first grade, you might want to use something a little bit different. I have some chickpeas. They're tinier. So of course I wouldn't want to use these with my littlest, because they're going to stick them in places. They may stick them in places I don't want to dig out later. But there's fun. I also am using a coffee can just for some other suggestions. I love the old, I don't think this is a coffee can. I actually think this is a baked beans that we used for last summer's 4th of July. But of course I saved it, because that's what I do. I save all kinds of, random things. Again, this is another one that could be counting 1 to 1, and I like the sound of this one. So just a different sound things. Of course, if you have a kindergartner that is going into first grade next year, they will be able to count a lot greater amounts 1 to 1. They still might get tricked up and things like that. But the great thing about it is, once they're counting 1 to 1, you can do some other things. You can count backwards for the kids when they have, let's see how many days we've had. And you can, like count, if you have 10 altogether, you go 9, 8, 7, so something like that. Also, once you have a greater number of counting materials in there, you can have them pour it out. And to count all of them, you can put them in groups. You can put them in groups of 5 or 2s or 10s, because that is a skill that in kindergarten we do a lot of practice of counting by 2s, 10s, 4s, 3s, all of those things. Another thing you can do is pour them out after you get a greater amount. Let's say it's day 15. You can put them out and say, all right, you can get like 3 dishes and say, okay, I am going to see if we have those 15, how many would be on each plate. So then you'd go 1 for them, 1 for them, 1 for them, until you get till all 15 are done, and then you can say, how many do we have on each plate? So just some beginning skills. Those are a little bit more challenging, but we want them to do those hands-on experiences and stuff. Of course, that's the beginning of multiplication and division, but they don't need to know though yet. They're just building that foundation. So counting anywhere, it's just a little bit more challenging than counting 1 to 1, even though that